are my thoughts on Blade Runner 2049. So Blade Runner 2049 is the sequel to the cult classic Blade Runner that was directed by Ridley Scott, who is now producing the sequel and is directed by Denis Villeneuve, who's one of my favorite directors that are working today, because this is a director that requires your full attention from beginning to end. Even if the movie seemed to be slow pacing at times, every single frame pushes the story forward. Him directing a sequel to Blade Runner, I thought was a phenomenal choice, and he did a great job with this project. Ryan Gosling, though, in the film, I thought he did a great job with handling the mantle that was passed on to him from Harrison Ford. And I say passed on because it's in a way to where this is his own Blade Runner story that surrounds this character. It has nothing to do with the previous Blade Runner until the third act. That's when it starts to become more a Blade Runner 2 than a Blade Runner standalone sequel. I also think like the best sidekick he had in this film that was just as good as Ryan was the damn jacket. That shit is just hot to me. Harrison Ford rocked it in the original. Ryan rocked it in this one. I need this jacket. This jacket is life. You will see me wearing this shit in 2049. I guarantee that. Now, Harrison Ford in this film, I thought was more of a great return to see his character come back. You know, they didn't just like put him in there because they wanted fan base or, you know, like, oh, you know, since he was in the first one, Deckard has to be somewhere in this one. It makes sense for him to return in this storyline. Even though, again, he comes way later on in this movie. So far on to where I feel as that the marketing was a little manipulative. Like, oh, guess what? Harrison Ford is in this too, so you need to come and see this. He had more screen time as Han Solo in The Force Awakens than he did in this movie. I'd rather it to where they kind of like left him out, because when you watch this movie, you really feel as if it's its own Blade Runner thing, to where it doesn't have to do with the original. In fact, some people are like, you gotta see the first one before you see the second one. That is not true until the third act. I can't stress that enough. But when the third act does come, you do have to see the first one. That definitely makes sense. I just want the audience to know that going into it, because if you are holding your breath until his character comes on screen, you are not going to make it. I guarantee you that. But when he does show, it is pretty fucking awesome. Jared Leto in this movie, I mean, Jared Leto is just weird in anything he's in, but that's a good thing. I like it when actors, you know, are weird and outgoing. Him as the Joker, that's a whole different story. But again, my point is that when it comes to weird movies, Jared Leto is definitely a good actor, and he was really perfect for this world, especially as like the new Tyrell. So I give props to him for that. Now, the visuals of Blade Runner 2049. You already saw Blade Runner in 1982 and thought that was already spectacular for that time period. This is like a great modification of 2049. The first one took place in 2019, which I'm not going to say is the most perfect, accurate world, even though we're just 2 years away from it. But still, great for that time period. 2049 I thought was an awesome update. It reminded me of like Tron Legacy, but with more colors and more realism to it, because it takes place in the real world to where Tron was in a video game. This is a movie to where you must see this in IMAX theaters. It's not the same as watching it on a regular 2D screen, not even 3D screen. And on top of that, they specifically formatted this for IMAX theaters. So when you watch this film on a humongous screen with speakers that are just so loud they go through your heart, literally, it really makes a difference with the experience of watching this film. And I urge you guys to go watch this in IMAX theaters. If you're in Atlanta, you can see it at Stonecrest, you can see it at Atlantic Station, or Mall of Georgia, or South Lake too. Those are the 4 theaters I recommend, even though I'm going to say 3 of those theaters are a little overpricing when it comes to the charge. I'll give you a hint, it's not Stonecrest. Just saying. When it comes to the pacing of this film, as I said, Denny is good for having some slow pacing, but it comes back at the end of the film. I feel as if this movie was a little too long with its screen time. And mostly that does come from the pacing, and maybe because I had to use the bathroom 20 minutes into this fucking 3-hour film. But anyway, I just feel as if for what it's trying to tell story-wise, it could have been cut down a little bit, like maybe 15 minutes, and all that could do with the slow pacing of the film, and we still would have got the moral or the story at the end of the film. Nonetheless, it's still a great film. And I like the fact that it's different from the original, because in the original one, Blade Runner is about him hunting down replicants. So in this film, it's more about Ryan Gosling as Blade Runner trying to figure out a mystery or a secret behind replicants. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want you to go into this with any details story-wise, because you will be blown away if you're into Blade Runner. If you're not into the original one, I don't see you getting so pulled into this one so much. Maybe because of its visual effects and seeing it in IMAX. That may do something for you. I guarantee you that. But again, if you're not a fan of the original, I don't see you so much in this one. But that doesn't mean I'm going to spoil it for you. That's for sure. If I also had another flaw, I would say towards the end, like the big climax or the big fight between the protagonist and antagonist, I don't necessarily know where they were, so I didn't understand the stakes. I understand water was involved, people could drown, but I didn't understand the parameter. I didn't know if there was like a cliff or a waterfall someone can jump. It was very dark, even in the IMAX theater. I just wasn't super on board with it because I just didn't understand everything that was going on. I understood the fight, but what more stakes is involved than from what I can see or understand? Maybe somebody else can explain it to me once they see the movie and come back to me like, no, man, it was about this, that. They were here and then they were there, whatever it is. Maybe you can let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, that's just something else I didn't understand. Everything else was pretty solid to me. I really enjoyed Blade Runner 2049. I urge you guys to see it. Please, in IMAX theaters. I guarantee you'll have a different experience watching it there than you would anywhere else. So guys, those are my thoughts on Blade Runner 2049. I want to know what you guys thought about it. Did you like it? How does it compare to the original Blade Runner? Do you believe it's a good sequel? Whatever it is, let me know in the comment section below. And guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you want, you can click right here to see more of my thoughts on the matter.